to my YouTube channel. My name's Megan, just in case you don't know me already, and I'm back with another really exciting video. In today's video, just in case you didn't see the title, I'm going to be doing my Drugstore Makeup Starter Kit 2020. So I know how daunting it can be walking into the drugstore or trying to shop online for makeup. There's just so much of it. So I'm going to start off with primer right the way through to setting spray of my drugstore recommendations. This video is to give you some kind of starting point. Maybe you want to research the products further, but this is hopefully the drugstore condensed for you to start your research. I hope that makes sense, and I hope this video is helpful. And just in case you're wondering about my makeup today, I did actually film this, and this was Vlogmas Day 1, which was my drugstore Christmas glow up. And if you are new here, welcome. I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the video. So right after I've moisturised my face, I like to go in with a primer. This step is totally optional, but primer is really going to help prep your face before you put your foundation on. That's why there's so many different primers. Some people prefer the more hydrating primers, some people prefer the more pore filling primers before they apply their foundation. And I actually have 3 recommendations for you. So the first one is the e.l.f. Putty Primer. I absolutely love this primer. It's so good. So I just have the normal poreless putty primer, but they do like a shea one and they do another one as well. But with this particular primer, I like to really rub it into my nose and my T-zone. I really find that it helps to fill in those pores. Like, my pores aren't really big, but they are noticeable, and I do notice a big difference from using this e.l.f. Putty Primer. So that's recommendation number 1. Once I've used that primer, I have really dehydrated skin, so I like to go in with something super hydrating. And one thing that I do recommend is the Primark Rose Water Spray. I think this is literally like £1 or £2, something like that. It's really affordable. Just spritz my face and we're done. There is a few others that I recommend too, but this is like really affordable for what it is. And this also will double up when we get into eyeshadow for those shimmer shades, so you can use it both ways. My final recommendation for primer is the Barry M Pixie Blurring Primer. This is just such a good primer. It helps to blur your pores. It's just like this, like, comes with a little dropper, and yeah, you can just put this all over your face, but I notice a huge difference when I apply this. Right after primer is when I'd put foundation on, and the 2 foundations that I would recommend in your starter kit is the Revolution Conceal and Define Foundation. I just really like this foundation. It offers really good coverage. It isn't drying, it's quite hydrating. You can build it up to be full coverage. It comes on this dofer. It's quite a big dofer, so you can literally just apply it all over your face, and I feel like a lot goes a long way with this foundation, and it is really affordable. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the products that I will talk about today are Revolution products. I just happen to really like their products, and I feel like they're really good value for money most of the time. And the next foundation that I would recommend for your starter kit is the Rimmel Lasting Perfection, the one with the red lid, because that's my absolute favourite foundation. Why? Because I feel like it's really dewy, and it's not too dewy though, it's definitely not dry. You can build it up to be full coverage, and I just think it looks really nice on your skin, and it does have a really nice finish on. I have got it on today, and it does have SPF 20 in it, which is great. These 2 foundations also have good shade range as well, which is great. So right after my foundation, I like to go in with a bit of concealer to like brighten up my under eyes and cover up those blemishes. And there are a lot of really good affordable concealers from the drugstore, like a lot of really good ones. So I've actually picked out 4 from my collection because I just couldn't decide between. The first one that I've got, which looks absolutely minging, the packaging is awful, but it is such a good concealer, and this is the Maybelline Instant Anti-Age Eraser Multi-Use Concealer. I have the shade Ivory if anybody's interested, but the packaging is absolutely what puts me off, but I will definitely be repurchasing this because, as you can see, I really like it. There is still a little bit left, but only a little bit, but I will be repurchasing this. It actually does what it says in the name, and it really covers up your dark circles. It's really good coverage, it's super hydrating, and yeah, I recommend that one. The next one I recommend, look how minging it looks, look how used it is the e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer. So they do a camo concealer and then they do this camo hydrating concealer. I much prefer the hydrating concealer. I think with the other one, just the camo concealer, it dries down really quick and you have to work so quick, and I find it really drying under my eyes. But this one is just so good. It is so much better. It offers really good coverage. It has quite a big doe-foot on it. There's loads of products in it, and it has this like really nice satin finish. Next is an absolute classic, the Collection Lasting Perfection Concealer, and I have this in porcelain too. These are really light, so they do really brighten up your under eyes, and that's what I really like about them. This kind of lasts a long time and I like that. It just blends in, it's like so beautiful. I really like that one. It is very high coverage too. And last but not least is the L'Oreal Infallible. Just looks like this. This is a dupe of the Tarte Shape Tape. So if you've always wanted to try that concealer, maybe you could give this one a go. So right after concealer, if I don't have any more cream products, then I'd set my face in place. So for setting powders, you can actually get a pressed powder or a loose powder. So my absolute favourite pressed powder, and the one that I would 100% recommend, I feel like everybody's either had it in the collection or will have it in their collection at some point. It's the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder, pressed powder, and as you can see I really like this, and I've gone through I don't know how many of these, at least 4 or 5 maybe, because I love it that much. Every time I buy one I use it so much. This is very good and it is a very good starter one because it's not messy like the loose powders. But if you wanted to give a loose powder a go, the ones that I'd recommend are from Revolution, and I really like the Revolution baking powder in the shade Lace in particular, but they do have a few different shades of that. And I also really like the I Heart Revolution coconut baking powder, and this is absolutely huge. It comes like that, so you can just pour a little bit into there and then put it on your face. They also have a peach one and a banana one, banana light, then they've got some others as well. But yeah, I started off with the coconut one, which is why I'm recommending the coconut one first. But if you wanted to try the peach one, they all kind of do the same thing. But this really sets your face in place, but it is so hydrating. Like, I don't know what they put in this powder, but it is so hydrating. I absolutely love this powder, and I think it's about £5 for like such a big tub. Right after setting everything into place, I would contour. So contouring's, everything's totally optional, but contour especially is totally optional. You could just simply bronze up the face, or you can contour. So if I've got a day where I really want to chisel out my face, I will go into the I Heart Revolution Fur Contour Palette. This would be my absolute drugstore recommendation. This is pretty new to Revolution, but you have quite a nice cool contour shade. It's not the coolest contour shade, but it is still pretty cool. And then you do get a highlighter in that as well, and the highlighter is really, really nice. I just don't like the shade. For me, I find it too light, but it's still a good palette. And for bronzer, I have like one recommendation for an absolute starter kit. I do have some other drugstore recommendations, but for an absolute starter kit, I recommend the Revolution Bronzer Reloaded. I have mine in the shade Holiday Romance, and this is what it looks like. It will give you like a little bit of a sheen, not too much, but it will give you a little bit of a sheen. This was an absolute mountain, and I have actually used quite a bit, and there's still loads of it left, so it is going to last you a really, really long time. And this is literally like £3 to £4. So affordable. I just reach for this so much, and I couldn't recommend this more. Like I said, there are other drugstore ones that I would recommend, but this for your starter kit, you'll love it. And for blusher, I'd recommend a peach blusher just to start off with, test the water with, and I have a couple that I would recommend. The first one is a I Heart Revolution Soft Shimmer Blush in the shade Peach, and that's what that looks like. So you can like swirl your brush around, and then you can pop that on the apples or use it as a highlighter. But with this one, like, you get this shade all around the side, then you get this shimmer shade here, and you get another shade of shimmer there. Just kind of dug my nail into it there. So I just think it's such a beautiful blusher, and it just looks really, really nice on the skin. I'd say a peach blusher to start off with. Like the L'Oreal peach one's really good, but I just prefer this one. Another blusher I'd recommend is from Revolution again, but this is in a palette form, and this is the Revolution and Roxy palette collaboration, and this is what it looks like. So it offers all kinds of different shades. Right here, I kind of tend to stick to these four, although I can get away with these four here when you use a light hand, or you can double them up as eyeshadow as well, which is super important. But at least with these, you can experiment which blusher you like, and I really like sort of this one when I want to do like a cool toned look, but when you want to do like a really, really pink look, then you want to use like one of these, because they will really like complement the face. To be honest, you could use any of it, obviously, of course, but I think these will give you like a different kind of look depending on what eye look you kind of go with. I hope that makes sense. And this palette's like £10, but you get all the 8 shades, and if you get this, then you're not going to need another blusher for so long. So you have so many different shades to choose from. So for highlighter, there are loads to choose from, absolutely loads to choose from. So I totally understand how overwhelming you could feel trying to look for your first highlighter. One that I'd recommend is from Primark. They kind of change up the packaging all the time, and they do different ones, but Primark do very, very good highlighters. So if you can't find this particular highlighter in your Primark, they're all really, really good. And this is what this one looks like. The packaging is terrible. It is sellotape together, but it's just such a pretty highlighter. Another one I recommend is from Wet n Wild. They do just beautiful ones. This is going to give you quite the glow, hence the name Mega Glow, and this is in the shade Blossom Glow. So it is on the pinkier side, but they do more golden ones. But yeah, it's such a good highlighter, but it is going to be a bit more blinding, and it is really, really glowy. It's great. Really, really good. And the third one is another highlighter, and it is the absolute classic Revolution and Soph highlighter palette. She did an absolutely amazing job at this palette. It's just so, so good. So for my skin, I can use all the top 4, and I actually have this one on today. I like to use this one and this one, like when I do like a pinky look. If there's not a pink in a corner highlight shade, I like to use this one. And same with like a purpley cool tone kind of look, I like to use that one if there isn't one in the eyeshadow palette that I'm currently using. But this palette is just amazing, absolutely amazing. And you can just experiment. They have the different formulas, like a baked formula, and I still use this so often. It is just such a good drugstore highlighter palette. And when it comes to eyebrows, there are so many different styles of products that you can use. So you can use powders, pomades, pencils, all sorts now. But the 3 pencils that I recommend are the e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow. This is slightly more waxy than the others that I will show you, but it's still nice. It's really going to fill in your eyebrow, and you get a little spoolie on the other end too. The next one is the collection one. The writing's completely rubbed off it, but this is like a wind up one, and I really like that one, and I would recommend that one because it really helps to fill in those brows. But if you're looking for like a skinny pencil, then I recommend the NYX Micro Brow Pencil, and you get the Pro Pencil on one side and a spoolie on the other side. This is going to help define those hairs and like actually draw on hairs. These ones you could get like a bit of a blocky brow with them if you're not careful. So this one would be my absolute #1 recommendation for drugstore, because you're going to get those nice hairs, or you can really fill them in. Just really quickly, going back to the face products, a face palette can be really good, and my absolute favourite face palette that I've come across, and it would absolutely be my starter kit. So if you don't want to get separate highlighters, blushes and bronzers, you could just get a face palette that's got all 3 of them in it. And this one's from Sleek, and that's what it looks like. It's in Fur. So you get this bronzer that can double up as a contour shade because it is not too warm and not too cool. Then you get this really pretty highlighter. I love this highlighter. Even though I have so many in my collection, so many bronzers, highlighters and blushes, I still reach for this. It is so good. And then you get the blusher on the end, which looks really bright, but it's not. You can just do like a subtle blush with it too. Plus it's super travel friendly, and I would definitely take this palette on holiday with me. So for eyeshadow palettes, there are loads, absolutely loads of eyeshadow palettes. So when you're looking for an eyeshadow palette, I'd look for how many matched shimmers there are in the palette. I would look for the colour stories, so maybe stick to something more neutral and then introduce colour. But if there's one palette that you absolutely need in your drugstore starter kit, it is the Soph Extra Spice palette, and that looks like this. You get a mixture of neutrals, you get cool tones, you get warm tones, shimmers, in a corner highlight. You get little pops of colour, and I absolutely love this palette, and this is actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today as well. It's an amazing drugstore palette, and even though I have loads and loads of eyeshadow palettes, collection video is coming very soon. Yeah, so even though I have loads of eyeshadow palettes, I still reach for that palette. It's just so good. So I'd recommend getting more of a neutral kind of palette, but then you could introduce colour by getting, you know, the little e.l.f. bite-sized palettes. I didn't get one out today. But the little e.l.f. bite-sized palettes, they're really good and really pigmented, blend really nice. So, and there's just not too many colours to work with. Another brand I know it's quite hard to get here in the UK, and it's a little bit, should I order, should I not order? And I know you can't actually go into the drugstore and get this palette, but you can order it, and that's the Colourpop Baby Got Peach palette. Any Colourpop palettes, they have more neutral ones, they have more colourful ones. Any Colourpop palette, because they are so affordable, so pigmented. You can do lots of different looks, it's not too overwhelming. But this one is my absolute favourite Colourpop palette, Baby Got Peach. This glitter is one of the nicest glitters I have ever seen. It is just absolutely beautiful. It's just stunning. I absolutely love that glitter so much. But yeah, Colourpop have a huge range and they're super affordable. So I did forget to mention, if you want to use an eye base, concealer works really well for your starter kit. But other than that, I'd recommend the Revolution Ultimate Eye Base as a little bit of a base. It is £5, but this is totally optional for a starter kit, definitely. And for mascara, there's loads that I'd recommend, loads of drugstore mascaras. I only really buy drugstore mascaras. I don't really buy high-end mascaras just because the drugstore ones are just so good that I don't need to buy one because it's not going to last that long. So that's not where I spend my money on with the high-end makeup. But one that I really like is the Collection Last Surge, and this is the Full Effect Mascara. I love this mascara, it's so good. It makes your eyelashes really full, volumised, but mainly like really full. Another one I like is the Rimmel Super Lash. I like all of the Rimmel ones that I've tried, and this one has a pretty similar brush and it offers a similar effect too. And the next one is the Maybelline Lash Sensation. This is such a classic mascara. It is so good. Kind of fans out your eyelashes, makes them really volumised and separating. It's not going to be clumpy, whereas the other ones can get really clumpy. This one's not clumpy, but you can build it up to be clumpy if you wanted it to, and it just makes your eyelashes look so nice, so good. And when it comes to lipsticks, I'd recommend just actually going to a shop, to a drugstore, to look at the colours and maybe the swatches. I know that you can't do it like right now at the time that I'm filming it, but or even go online and look at swatches on people's lips, swatches online. I'd look at swatches, don't look at the little like a packaging or a little sticker or anything like that. I would look at swatches first, and then I would kind of figure out, are your lips a bit more on the dry side? Do you like the more glossy look? Do you like a matte look? Because that will depend on what kind of lipstick you go for. So that's colour checked, finish checked. So just some that I would recommend are the Maybelline Super Stay Ink. This is gonna last all day. This is gonna last while you're eating. You'll be able to go out, you could go to work and this will still be on you. It just stays all day. It's such a good lipstick. This one, if you're interested, is in the shade Lover. It's really nice. I'll just give it a little swatch for you. It's a pretty purpley sort of nudie colour. Smell like vanilla as well. It smells so good. And if liquid lipsticks are absolutely not your thing, you're not ready to try liquid lipstick, then you could just stick with a bullet lipstick. And one that I really like is the Revolution and Soap in the shade Cake. I have it on today. It's just such a nice, pretty nude colour. So I recommend that one too. If you wanted to get a lip liner for your starter kit, the ones that I'd recommend are the MUA ones or the Primark ones. Even now, I will not spend loads on a lip liner because I just don't think you have to. Because I've tried these ones, I'm like, I don't need to try more. Like, I'd just buy more of these. The only thing that I wouldn't do is I wouldn't go off what the tip is, because the tip looks nothing like what that one actually looks like. This one, if you look at the top of that one, they just don't swatch the same in my opinion. So like I said before, just kind of go off swatches rather than the little tips. And there are loads and loads of glosses as well, so if you like the glossy look, then you can add obviously gloss on top. Loads and loads of different super affordable ones. The ones that I really like and would recommend are the Beauty Bay ones. And I know you can't actually go into a drugstore and get these, but these are so affordable and they're really hydrating. They're not really sticky, because I don't like that in a gloss. But yeah, I'd recommend those. And the final thing I'd do is setting spray, and It's really going to help your makeup last all day, and it's going to help like with that cakiness, like it helps blend things together. It just does a lot. And two that I recommend is the Revolution Sport. This is the Sport Effects one, but they do a hydrating one and they do some other ones as well. So one of these Revolution ones, they're really good. I also like Primark ones. They're good. But if you're looking for more of a dewy finish, like maybe you go really heavy on the powder like me, but you want something that's going to give you a bit more of a glow and a bit more life back into your skin and keep your makeup on all day and kind of blend all that cakiness together, is the L'Oreal Shake and Glow. So you literally just shake this up and then spray it. There's this super nice mister on it, a lot of product, really affordable, and it really hydrates and sets your face. This is also my absolute favourite drugstore setting spray as well. Absolutely recommend it for a drugstore starter kit. So they're all my recommendations for a drugstore starter kit. I hope you find this video a little bit helpful. If you did find this video a little bit helpful, then leave me a little like just so I know to do more of these kind of videos. And I am uploading a lot during Vlogmas, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my videos. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!